Otherwise, the only thing I know is sit and play.
Yeah, we can sit and play. If you have any questions, we can answer them, how to do any certain things, fiddle bowings, whatever the like, scales, whatever, you know, that good stuff. All of the things that go into play. Scales, arpeggios. In fact, very important part of playing. Speaking of how one fiddles and improvises versus classical play. I thought about that aspect of playing for many, many years because I'd always been a fiddle player. I studied some classical, but after I was a fiddle player. I was a fiddle player first, foremost, always. And I understood improvisation. And as I taught, I became quite perplexed about how really good classical musicians could come and take lessons wanting to fiddle and just couldn't get the hang of it. And of course, I could write out any version of any fiddle tune for them and they would nail it perfectly. But you know, if they played through 15 different versions of Cripple Creek and asked them to improvise one, head would explode. So I kind of figured it out. It's sort of a 5-step process in totally learning a tune. And this is how I approach a tune. Like if I walked into a room and there was, say, a jam session going on and I'd never heard the tune, these are the steps I would follow. The first 2 steps being generic steps, being what is the form? Like, does it have verse, verse, chorus, verse, 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 chorus, chorus, A, B, B? Usually put those in alphabets. And once you got that, you've got a general roadmap. You know if somebody's on their last B section, that somebody else will probably take a solo after. And then the second step is the generic chord progression. And that's where we figure out the chords without a key, meaning we hear the chord that is the key. It doesn't matter if it's an A chord or a B flat or anything. We just hear the 1 chord and say the 4 chord and 5 chord, which are the 3 most common chords in anything. You can play millions of tunes with just 3 chords. Like Will the Circle Be Unbroken, just 1, 4, and 5 chord. So if you understand those numbers, the 1, 4, and 5, it wouldn't matter what key you're in, because you can say, oh, A, let's see, D, and E, A, D, and E. Or you can say, oh, I'm in the key of C, 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 D, E, F, and G. And so automatically you can get the chords. Now the 3rd and 4th step involves a little bit of theory. That's when you say, what key am I actually in? So again, if you have those 1, 4, and 5 chord, you can immediately tell what chords you're playing. And if you know like the chords on the guitar or the mandolin, at that point you can start back up after step 3. And then step 4 is knowing all of the notes available to you in the key that you're playing and all of the notes available to you in each chord you're playing. Once you determine those, you can sit all day long and play solo after solo after solo. And you never have step 5, which is, what's the name of this tune? And what is the real melody? So one knows everything about the tune after those first 4 steps. And they can improvise all day long, but that last step, which is actually what a classical musician ends up getting. A piece of paper with the name of the tune and the notes on it. And so finally I understood why they could play so well. I mean, play like the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. That's no small feat. I mean, you got to be a really good player to do that. But it does not prepare you for Cripple Creek. Anyway, enough chatter. Since this is about violins and improvising, I thought I would mention that a little bit for all of the violin players who are working on their improvisation. And, learn your scales, learn the notes that are in the chord. can't play chords very well on the fiddle, but knowing every note that's in the chord will help a whole lot. You want to play something on?
Well, we've been jamming since 9. Every time we play, we don't know what the next thing's gonna be. We played a lot together, what, 40 years ago.
Yep.
Then he moved. He started making money. I kept home, stayed out.
You still in the rudder, huh?
Still in the rudder, yeah. I moved though. I moved to a bigger place and more bush hogging. What do you want to play?
Oh, let's see.
Boil and Cabbage. That's one of the first songs people learn is the Boil and Cabbage songs.
Let's start with that. Sounds like a good starting point. Go ahead and kick. I like that one.
That's the Louisiana version, I read. All of them played. Ray B.B., Luke Lee, all of them. Back whenever I was learning. I never played till I was about 26 years old, and why I ever picked up the fiddle, I have no idea. Anyway, I learned from people like Ray B.B., Warren Ferrier, who I just now found out passed away. He was a fantastic fiddler. I don't think he ever got his due. He was one of the cleanest band fiddlers I ever heard. When he kicked off a Ray Price song, that was the way it was supposed to be kicked off. He sounded like one of those Nashville giants when he played. And I'll never forget one night at Pollock, he played all night, and I think they played Benny Martin's, not Dragon Boat, what is it? My mind runs off. Anyway, they played that all night. Him and the guy that played in Branson now. But I mean, he was a fantastic fiddler. Hank Strickland, I don't know if you ever heard of him, but I have a bunch of tapes of him playing. I have tapes of all these people. Hank Strickland, he could cross tune and play songs, and I have yet this day figure out how he can make it sound so good. He was just a fantastic fiddler. Played on the hayride played with Hank Williams, a lot of different people. Always a little timer.
Well, Ron, we have a question over here.
What?
I have a question. So, like, you're saying, like, the first step is to figure out what key you're in.
No, actually, figuring out what key you're in is not even necessary until the third step. It's actually more important to figure out what chords are in the tune in a keyless state. And how you do that is learn how to hear how chords behave. I never listened to a recording say, was that an A chord or a B flat, listening to pitch? I never do that. I listen and I say, whatever that chord is, that's the key they're in. And now they're going to the 5 chord. And back to one, show me a 5 chord one.
Here's a B1
Yeah.
chord, B5 chord.
And then back to 1. When you hear that, you say, oh, that's a 1 chord 5-1. Hit me a 4. And then a 5. And then a 1. So no matter what key he's in, I can hear that as a 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord. And then once you do determine what the key is, you already know what the chords are. So when you do this, you're actually learning the chords of the key in all keys, because you're not saying a specific key.
Okay, well, so, me, first thing I do is look at the guitar player and see what key they're in. Okay, so my question is really, so why do fiddle tunes seem to normally be in the key of D or the key of A?
Well, because open strings are very fun to play. In fact, Ron's got some fiddles here that are cross-tuned in different ways so that you can play open strings.
G is open.
And G is open, but the fattest notes of the chord would be the root and the 5th, which makes D perfect, because you got, if the most important chords is the 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord, if you're in the key of D, the 2 middle strings would equal a D chord, the 1 chord. The 2 bottom strings, the 4 chord, the G chord. And the 2 top strings, the A chord. So you could play a whole tune. Like here's a shuffle boogie woogie, if you will. D. Now G. Back to D. Now A. So a little boogie using open strings only. And so that makes D a pretty fun key to play in. And of course, A has the top 2 strings open. So you get to play up high. G is a good key, but the coolest notes are down there.
Before, so like you talking about playing here in the chords where they go, let me just play one little bit of Faded Love, you just play a local chord, okay? Or I'll do it.
There you go.
They just do this. I used to have my students do this, and they just go, I'd have people that play longer and they do the melody.
It's going to play the melody.
Keep time 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Yeah, okay. You can't miss those notes. Correctly. What you got, Ken?
That is a
If we
key.
do that again, and somebody holds up 1 when he's playing with 1, 4 when he's playing 4, and 5.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And by the way, it's very common for a verse or a chorus to start on the 1 chord. Even more common to end on the 1 chord, because they don't always start on the 1 chord. But you can almost depend on it ending on the 1 chord. In fact, the last 2 chords of any section is probably 5 chord, 1 chord. And Yeah, let's go ahead and play it. I'll call those out.
Okay, when we played this morning, he played backup. He played second, we played basically, I played melody straight as an arrow, okay? If you play in harmony, the lead man has to play straight, the other people can get crazy. He played chords behind me, but they weren't just the regular open chords, they were all closed chords, like maybe a diminished or something like that. He knows all that, I don't. I mean, it changes the whole sound of the song, and he's making it sound pretty, okay? We'll do that right behind, we'll do it open. And you're calling out ones and two,
Okay, and then we'll play
and
it.
then we'll stop.
All right.
Then I'll show you. That's how intricate the chording can get to be, okay?
So it's starting on the 1 chord. So that's the key that you're in. 4. Back to the 1. 5 chord. And this is the halfway point right here. Now back to 1 chord. 4 chord. And the tag is 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. The last quarter of any tune, of any section, you can think of as a tag, and it has the musical cadence that brings the whole sentence to a close. You're like it. That is a tag. And there's always important words there too. Frequently it would be the name of the tune. Right here, I remember our fate in love. It is a tune. But like on Will the Circle Be Unbroken, it's what was that? I'm trying to think of the words. Oh, in the sky, Lord, in the sky, Lord, in the sky. So it's not doesn't actually mention the thing. But that's such a common thing. If I was on stage and some child walked up to me and said, "Mister, can you play in the sky, Lord, in the sky?" I would know exactly what tune to play. And that's it. 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord using that tune. So what's cool about that? We're in D. So you just say, okay, well, D is 1 because it's the key. So that means E is 2, F is 3, G is 4. So there's your 4 chord, and A chord is the 5 chord. So then, if somebody wanted to, say a singer wanted to do it in a different key, they wanted to play in the key of G, then G would be 1. A, B, C would be 4, and D would be 5. So that's about counting chords. Very important part for improvisation. Because again, it allows you to hear the chords and understand the chord progression no matter what key you're in.
One thing that I always, and Mark Savoy has a real good thing on his website for Savoy's Music and Use, is you have to love this music and you have to listen to the music play by ear. You can't use music. I've actually learned a couple songs playing with sheet music very slowly before. But most of the time, I just hear them so much. I would listen to Kenny Baker records here a while back. Then I listened to it in the 70s. I could tell you what the next song would start humming the next song before the track came up because I heard it so much. So you just have to love the music. You can't just play the fiddle because you want to have fun. You just have to know the music. I mean, you have to just know those songs. I mean,
Listen to them over and over and over and over again.
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm listening to all the time. But you'll try that Faded Love thing, and then you do the
let's
then
do
you're
it.
gonna do the fancy chords on the next round. We'll do left through once, and then you do it again. thing that he did first with this here. Open to, but it's just a little bit, he's putting different, making the song move behind me and David. Oh, and David's on you on guitar, I wanted to mention that. From Overland, Reeves, Ragley, all kind of places.
Don't leave out dry, Rick. I was raised up, this guy, Dennis, my first cousin, proud to say. And when we were just teenagers, and I would go stay a week with him, he would play up to 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, every night.
Still do.
And he still does. That's what it takes to practice, practice, and you get to that level, you know, whatever level you desire to get. I play guitar, I try, you know, but it just depends on how much time you put into it. And like Dennis taught me years ago, do the scales, basics, and I would often get frustrated because the speed wasn't there, but you do it right, you do it slow, and the more you do it, the faster you become.
There you go. You can't fear your scales. They are a necessary evil.
If you're taking a brand new student and you wanted to teach him a song, let's go back to Boy and Carry It Down, that's what we all started with, or Up Jumps the Devil, something very simple, or Eliza Jane. How would you teach that? What was the first thing you would do, besides making them listen to it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a peculiar thing because remember back to my 5-step principle, where the last step was not necessary, actually knowing the melody. That is the first thing that we usually hear. And so if I were indeed teaching a student bowl in the cabbage, I would start with, well, the bowing exercise and the simple notes. Try to show them to do the double side. And I spend a lot of time with the bottom section because, well, you've got the melody here in a harmony. Which is really cool because you're playing double stops over an A chord and a D chord. And the note that's missing in both chords is this A string, which is sitting right here. So what happens is that becomes a really serious bow exercise for folks. Here's the regular bowl and cabbage on the bottom. Here's a different bowl. Being able to do both double stops like that is very important. Not only to this tune, but
I can't do that.
Tom and Jerry, just all kinds of tunes.
You got a lot of riders. I don't think I'd be raising that too big. I might hit one at that.
And then also I have them play through the chords because actually, all of my violin students now, I have study mandolin as well. Because the mandolin and the violin are technically the same instrument but from two different families. Same tuning, same basic scale length, but one's like a guitar. It's got frets and you play with a pick, and the other's fretless and you play with a bow. Well, having frets is a beautiful thing. It shows you exactly where to put your fingers. And how, people often say, how do you, to answer the question, how do you play in tune on the fiddle? And they say, well, you use your ear. Because they look at that and they say, well, there's no frets. But in reality, playing in tune on the violin is exactly the same as any other instrument, including the mandolin. You put your fingers in the right place. That's how you play it too. It has nothing to do with your ear. You put your finger in the right place. Because if you place your finger and then move the bow and it vibrates the air and vibrates your ear and it connects to your brain and says, dude, you're flat. And so a lot of stuff has happened after you played the note. So that's why mandolin is really good, because if one runs scale for like 15 minutes on the mandolin, then they pick up the violin. The fingers kind of already know where to go. And that's very helpful. And last but not least, learning chords is really important. Since playing chords, you don't really do that on the violin too much. Even something like this, where you can play a chord, but it's not really good for a backup chord. So a lot of times we use double stops, 2 notes. Like, you know, you might have noticed I was doing some plucking behind Ron and make the biscuits brown. Only song that I can sing is Polo Cabbage Down. Which is similar to chopping a mandolin. Chop, chop, chop. And so the chords are next, learning how to play the chords. And once those are done, to even go on further with that too, I would have the students look at, in first position, here's all of the notes available for the key of A, boiling the cabbage. And here's every note available for the A chord, the D chord, the E chord. So maybe putting it into a simple exercise like the tune goes A chord, D chord, A chord, E chord, so you can let go. So I didn't play any note that wasn't in the chord that was being played at the time. Played just A chord notes, and then went to D, and then back to A. And you can do a lot of improvisation with that, because if you know what notes are in the chords, those are safe tones. As long as you're playing a D chord, I can feel comfortable playing any A note, any F sharp note, or any D note. Because play me a D chord. Here's an F sharp. An A. And I'm gonna keep playing the D chord. An F sharp. So all of those notes are very cool places to hang out when that chord's being played. So that's why we want to learn our arpeggios, which of course is just an Italian word for broken chord.
Well, I want you to do something here, if you don't. Hey, the guy walked up to me one day and he said, show me a G chord on fiddle. I said, well, where?
Exactly.
So I want you to play every G chord, 2 notes, don't stop, so you play good.
In what position?
Any position. I just want them to
Actually,
see how much you have to really practice to know
Well, for double
where all
stops.
these double stops are.
Or the full chorus.
One fiddler does it. He did.
So yeah, playing chords backup would be kind of hard. march.
I'm talking about just double stop, if you do this.
Yeah. Oh, I did play a whole bunch of them.
They're just all over.
And the thing I was talking about earlier with the
There are a few
the
people
bowl
play
and the
triple
cabbage.
stops on the fiddle.
That bowl and the cabbage exercise is actually also the key to playing thirds on a violin, because what happens when you play thirds, I'm going to move to C here, you play one with your third finger and first finger, the next one your fourth and second, and then you slide up and do it again. So to play like thirds on a violin would be last little out of tune there. And that's how you do that, moving. Pretty difficult technique.
I mean, what do you mean third?
Oh, thirds. I'm talking intervals now. Like if you play, there's a C chord and you're playing a C note, well, actually it doesn't matter what chord it is. If you're playing a C note, C, D, E, an E would be a third higher than that. And if you're playing a D note, D, E, F. F would be the third higher. So here I started with a C and an E together, which is a third. And then I went to a D and an F, which is a third, an E and a G, F and A, so on and so forth. Straight on up.
And why do you do that? I mean, like, how does that fit into the, is it,
Well, it's double stops. I mean, if you want to play, especially waltzes are full of those. Something like Wednesday Night Waltz would be. So a lot of those were thirds. The very first two. So I used the third finger and the first finger, and in the same position, the fourth finger and second finger, and then shifted. And that's the intro to Wednesday Night Waltz.
What are some, why don't you just go through some, to me playing the fiddle, it's like playing a melody, but you have to have rhythm with it. Okay, so there are bow licks you do that you can probably even the simplest fiddler could learn that would put a dancing ability to it. And I used to have students that come and say, very religious people that all they play religious music, and I said, most people can't dance up and down the aisle to your music. I said, you're not playing the fiddle. And I mean, that's just the way I always think of fiddle as being dance music. And there's rhythm licks you do with the bow and say 2/4 time. Do some of them for them.
I'm not sure which ones you're talking about.
Well, first one is most people learn is, and it's just something like this where you're going 2 notes at a time, slurring to, stuff like this, you see.
Very common stuff.
And I can't do it, but I did that too this morning called a little widow. Anything that sets the time that you have to do. You may probably not do this lick, but maybe one time, and then you might come back to it later. You don't just sit there and do it over and over and over. Lick well, and like Harry Schultz, when he plays Jolie Blonde, he'll do this all the time. You can blues it up, you know, or
That's good. Get those threes going. Once
that's
you get that,
rhythm. That's all rhythm.
Yeah.
They're creating rhythm. They're not just making they're with the melody. I mean, that's what it is. If you can think of any of them to do.
Well, if you're talking about some of these shuffles and stuff, there's a lot of things you can do. One of the easiest ones that I like to show my students is, for lack of a better name, I call it low, low, high, high. Because you take 2 strings on the low end, and then, or 2 notes, and then 2 high. Now this is, I'm just playing single strings right now, so. Just that simple thing. So, and then when you put double strings to it, it gets a lot larger. Now I'm not playing 3 strings, but it sounds like it because I got 2 on the bottom, then 2 on top with the center one overlapping. So when you're playing things like that gives you lots of nice momentum and rhythm. It's a lot better than just going. It's got motion.
Remember when the circle gun broke in Master Clemens? I never learned this lick. He did a lick on Art Boss Special. You ever heard
No,
that?
I don't
You know
remember.
where? Yeah, that was
I
really
heard him
neat.
play it, but
Yeah, but I mean, it just it was well. He did everything unusual. I mean, he didn't do anything kosher.
yes.
Can you tell us something about the way you handle your bow? It's not just straight. I see you twist and turn, stroking the strings with the bow.
Well, there's a whole lot of things going on with the bow. Well, you've got several zones in the bow. The lower zone, which where you get power. It's kind of a dangerous zone to be in, but if you really want to pop it, and you can do that shuffle there without killing yourself. If you're out here, you're going arm be flopping up and down like this, but you get here, just a small little bit of wrist and lots of power. And get in the center, and there's the balance spot is close around the center, and that's where you can do things like get spiccato bowing, which is another classical bowing where you basically move your wrists and fingers very fast, and the bow bounces by itself. See the bow bouncing very tiny bounces, but I'm not physically bouncing it, not like here I'm physically bouncing. Here, the stick is actually bouncing itself. And then at the tip, you've got that's good for some softer material, and of course, ricochet type of material, like just so you just hit it, make it bounce, da-da-da. I like to use that in fiddle tune sometimes. In fact, in the Lonesome Fiddle Blues solo, when I went to the G chord, I went. So I hit that, which goes back to our double stops. Double stops with rhythm. So playing, that sounds a little bit exciting, but it sounds more exciting.
I hear great fiddlers playing, and they play lots of single notes. But when they hit a double stop, it just has they color the whole song all of a sudden. It's just like, especially if it's on the money.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just play, and I've had people that with, and the students do, especially adults, they want to double stop everything, double stop every song. Where the double stops come into that color, it gives it that beautiful sound. It's all, Kenny Baker was the master at that. I mean, just and he just throw this double stop out there, and it just blow your mind. But I mean, that's the one thing that I like to hear fiddle players do if you're playing the fiddle. I mean, I would stop and think about that. Not trying to double stop.
Everything.
What about sliding? There's a lot of sliding goes on in playing the fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you do a little blues for them? I don't know how much time we got.
Oh, loads.
Loads. I was planning on getting
More than enough time.
do a blues. You want to do that? Okay. This morning we were going to do a blues improvisation. You're going to play by yourself, and
Sort of some
we didn't have
bluesy
time to do it.
sounds.
We're going to turn him loose on it right now.
Well, so I'm going to use some different techniques for the blues here for very applicable to blues and more rock type things too, like a different vibrato, like which is almost like a whammy bar sort of thing. In fact, you can
Tell them what a whammy bar is.
Yeah.
Tell them what a whammy bar is. Now, a little stick on the electric guitar.
little rock and roll sounds. Bo can actually do a lot of that pretty well. And what I was doing there, I was getting closer to the bridge and playing softly with my left hand. Get that wiggle, having it fall off of it like that. Dive bomb sort of thing. Do it in the right place, it sounds good. Do it in the wrong place, it's not very wonderful.
Do you do any sort of Chevy Wise stuff, the blues, whatever? You just like slides into there every note or out of it or anything?
Well, I can play blues where I slide in every note, but I
Yeah,
don't know if I can do it actually in Chubby style.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of style. What's the name of that song?
I have no idea. That was just the blues form. So a blues is a blues is a blues.
Right. Unless you get into St. Louis blues and all that stuff, it's a lot different ball game.
which, by the way, the simple blues is 3 chords, 1, 4, and 5.
That's what it does.
You can make it much more complicated, but it doesn't have to be.
Y'all are beginning fiddlers?
What was that?
Are they beginning fiddlers?
Play violin
I
at
couldn't
school.
miss that pink cake.
Plays violin at school and wants to start playing the fiddle.
I would think get CDs and listen to them so much that you just like, when you go to play them, I mean, you know it's familiar. She'll learn the notes in her violin school.
How did you start?
Listen and learn the theory.
How did you start? How did you
My first instrument was guitar. I picked up guitar and then went to violin and then to banjo. And but I was always interested in figuring out theoretical stuff. So I immediately started teaching myself theory and stuff, which is not to be confused with knowing how to read. Reading does not prepare you for theory at all. It just prepares you how to read the notes on the page. But so for theory, you have to do those things like I mentioned before, knowing what chord is being played at the moment, what chord you're going to next, and what are the notes above, and how do I get there from here?
So you didn't take lessons, you just more or less taught yourself?
Yes. You know,
How
self-taught.
long ago was that?
74.
Yeah, when I started banjo
Started
and
at
stuff.
75.
I think I started guitar a little
Yeah.
earlier, 72, 73, something like that.
Well, excuse me, about 35 years ago, we went to the Louisiana State Fiddling Championship. And we saw this young man from New Orleans, and he played Cammy's Waltz. And I think it might have been you.
Maybe.
It was. What were the boys?
Yeah.
Boys?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 2, hey. Oh, I know I'm fixing to go into.
Is it the one that that's it, right?
Yeah.
Tammy, Mark O'Connor did it. You didn't see him, right?
Yeah, well, I'm
You
trying not to break into Tennessee waltz because I'm getting
Oh!
confused between the two. Yeah. I can't remember. That's been a long, long
You
time.
played it beautifully.
Well,
We
thank you.
were really impressed.
Brain's full of other stuff.
Tammy's waltz.
True like your
Wow,
hair.
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
You were about 18 or 19, I guess, because you were playing in the French War. And you were going to Royal.
Yeah.
Main thing we noticed, you played with so much expression.
So much feeling. You really,
Feeling.
really, yeah.
Well, I love it. You know, it just kind of comes out. Every time we play the violin, it makes me very, very happy.
I have a question. I have an old fiddle that I'm here from my daddy, and I have a little boy that I know he can pick it up by ear. So he thinks he needs lessons, but I know he doesn't, because I have all the records.
Well, lessons are a good thing to have. The only danger is, as I mentioned before, the actual way, the starting point of how somebody starts the process. Fiddle players usually start out listening to recordings and stuff and trying to emulate it. Or, you know, say you don't play, put me in an A chord there. And so, well, I don't know what that is, but that note works, you know, and little things like that. That's a concept that people need to be able to grasp, which is not a reading thing. You can never achieve that by reading the music. But the reading is usually what teaches them where the notes are, what the names of them are,
Right.
and
We can hear the music, I know we can, because I have all the kitty backers across on the mountain. Anyway, I know we can hear it.
well, I'm totally for the teaching thing, but it's almost better at first, maybe, if they're not, if they figure out maybe the first year or so without any lessons, and then they're still continuing to progress, that's when to get them lessons. Because at that point, they're kind of thinking on their own, and they're not thinking, oh, I need to play a C sharp here, because the music says so. They say, well, I don't know what this note is, but fits that chord.
In my case, we have jam stations in the river all the time. I've made sure we have for years, it's 40 years. We have it at my house or in my shop behind my house, or now we're back playing with the Lutheran Church. Play nearly every Thursday night. And anybody that wants to come and play and sit in, and so many people have come, and I wouldn't say they've learned to fiddle well or anything, but I have a couple that really have. I gave basic lessons to, and I don't give lessons anymore. But they can sit in the background and like follow along, rub along on those songs. And then before long, they may actually, because I have a lot of recordings, and I'll make them for them if they want to learn a song. And before long, they listen to that song before they may start adding to their repertoire. And I used to try to learn 1 or 2 songs every week. And then nobody wanted to play them with me. I mean, I played in a country western band, and all they cared about was Faded Love or Steel Guitar Rag or something, same old songs over and over. So I would learn the songs and they would die on the vine, then maybe sometime. But I mean, the person needs to be around the music and people to play. Y'all hear me talk about these old men? I mean, I'll never forget them. I've written about them in my books. It's just like when the Fiddle was King, just a glorious book. And I knew every one of those people. And I knew their family. Some of them are dead. But I wrote about them, but I mean, I played with their families. And I mean, I know how, I can tell you it's the style they played. I could probably, right now, walk by a room and one of them was playing in there, which they wouldn't do. I can tell you who it is. I mean,
So you have your books here for sale?
I got a whole bunch of them, and I need to get rid of them. Granddaughter lives next door to me, and she needs the room. No, I need money to get home and gas. No, I do have a lot of them, and I say, seek out fiddle players. I don't know where you live.
I'm from Texas, I'm in Houston.
Austin?
Houston, but my dad's from here.
Yeah, they're, I know over the years I've known a lot of players who used to mainly play contest style or honky tonk. But I mean, I don't know, I've lost contact with those people. But just, if you just, I would always play at tomball all the time once a month. Go up there and just hang out and be obnoxious. I mean, go in there and sit in the background and play, or what, you know. I know I broke up a lot of champs lists in my life. You know.
On that note, there's an etiquette when you get around jam sessions.
Oh, I know that.
Okay, so
You
you
say
get
don't
around-
follow my etiquette? That was,
Well, you do what you did real good. But something that I had to learn starting out was learning etiquette. And by learning the etiquette and people respecting you, they'll start teaching you all kinds of things. They start asking you. And then that inspires a young player like it did me. It inspired me. It'll inspire anybody. You know, because you learn that and boy, it helps so much. I mean, there's nothing like that. I mean, you can be the best player in the world and you got terrible etiquette. Don't get along with people, you'll never learn it.
have to get around the music. And hey, first thing y'all do is go for buy one of his CDs. He needs the money.
Yes, please
It's
do
good
that.
too. It's good too. It's very, very good. It's not real complicated. You can make it just the songs he does. This is I'm known to everybody. It's here if they're interested in learning the fiddle, which is what it's about. But to me, if you don't know the song, you know, or the melody, and after a while they all start sounding alike, but they're not alike. I know when I went to play Cajun music, everybody said they all sound alike. And I knew probably 100 songs by then, and I said, no, they don't either. They don't sound alike. The accordion makes them sound a lot alike, but when the fiddle takes it, it changes. I play with accordion players, and they tend to play. Of course, some of them are really melodic, and some of them aren't. But when the fiddle takes it, they play the more. I know the other night we did Step It Fast, and when I took it on the fiddle, I played the exact melody like Will Kegley or somebody would have played. It just changed the whole song. I mean, just listen. You just have to love it. I mean, you can't be a bystander and play the fiddle. I think that boy just needs to get around people and get, you know, seek them out. If you call Michael Fuller at Fuller's Vintage Guitar, you know him, he'll be able to tell you where everything goes on. I need to call him about his wife too. Anyways,
Where's that? Fuller Vintage Guitar.
that's in Houston.
You played something this morning
North
where you were doing this.
You what now?
On the stage.
On the Easter room, you were playing something where you were doing this. It was really real pretty.
With what? The bow?
Yeah. What about?
Blues song, probably.
At 9 o'clock.
Did I?
That.
No, not that.
What did I do?
You were jumping. You were
It was
jumping.
a tune that Ron played in the early session.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Didn't you ask about that? I was
Oh,
just
Milk
kinda-
Cow Blues. Improvisation.
So I was just playing arpeggios, just a quick triplet, da 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 da, but real fast. What tune was that I played that on? Was it? Oh,
Milk
it's
Cow
Milk Cow.
Blues.
Yeah, right.
You don't deserve it. Well, that's what that's all about.
Mm-hmm. I like to bounce the bow a lot. I'm starting to have more fun with the bow, doing the bounces and just all the great things you do with it. You swear a lot of notes. Or you can play them all individually. You bounce. All kinds of great stuff. But oddly enough, it comes easier to me than the flat pick.
Do what?
The bow seems to come easier to me than the flat pick. That's a perplexing little way.
You have trouble switching like from guitar to fiddle, or when you do change?
Yeah, it's a totally different right hand. I have not the left hand. The left hand is just identical, and that's why I suggest mandolin playing to all. If you play fiddle, you really should play mandolin too, because it'll give you the ability to learn the chords, and it'll give you the ability to learn notes without having to fight the intonation. If we're trying to learn something, and every time we go to play, moving every note, we're not going to remember what we played by the time we finish it. But if you try to learn the same thing on the mandolin, where you can't play out a tune, you'll memorize it a whole bunch faster. And then you go back and apply it on the violin.
Do you play it the same way every time you improvise?
No, that's what improvisation
So
is.
it's hard to teach somebody.
You don't play it the same way,
Because
you're not improvising.
Someone's
You can't
trying
help
to
yourself.
learn to do it,
No, it's
and
not.
they're
It's-
listening.
It's, you don't teach them the notes
No.
of the improvisation. You teach them the concept of the improvisation, which is knowing what chord you're in, what chord you're going to, and from there, you've got millions of options of how to get there. And that's what improvisation is about, how to get from this point to that point. And it just keeps going. It's like Chris Stevens said, it's composing really, really fast.
What songs have y'all tried to write? Y'all tried to play any songs? Okay, well, I thought maybe it's a song. There's a lot of entry level songs that you can learn that you can. We played the first one, was one of the first songs that most people learn. I learned Cindy was one of the first. I'll tell you how I learned that. I would go to the honky tonk, I'd go to the Broken Spoke, Skyline, Austin, and dance, and I'd dance right in front of the bandstand. And then a guy played the fiddle on some songs, and he played Cindy all the time. So when he got through, I'd watch him the whole time, dance where I could watch him, and then at the break or something, I'd get him to show me how he did it, and I'd finally get back to my fiddle. And when I got home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I tried to figure out what he did, and the next week I'd go back out to the dance, and he'd play it again. That's how I learned Cindy. That's a rough way to learn it. Then I found a recording, and it wasn't so bad.
Well, the Cabbage was not my first. See, Julie Blanc was one of the first.
Ah,
That and maybe the first tune I ever learned probably on my own was Tennessee Waltz.
yeah.
Very common tune.
I always taught Liza Jane, Tennessee Waltz was one of them, not Kentucky.
Tennessee Waltz always sounds good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about your style and technique on your Cajun fiddle?
On what?
Cajun, on the Cajun.
On the Cajun style?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it exactly, except that I do try to do some things where it sounds really full. Like that sort of a double stop, almost triple sounding thing. And that's a cool thing I put in there too. So it's just sort of a do-it-a-do-it-a-do-it-a-do, but with the very fat sound. And, I do a lot of pulls and stuff like that. Rufus Thibodeau used to do a lot of pulls and stuff like stuff like that, which always was kind of a neat sound.
There's several different ways to approach. You play with accordion, like C accordion, they tune down. I don't know if you're aware of that. They don't play the tune to a regular A440 that we do of G, D, A, E. They're tuned to F, C, G, D. And it changes everything. In fact, this one violin back here, I've kept it. I hadn't tried to sell it because when you tune it down, it's just as loud as it is normal. I mean, it's just, I can play acoustic with accordion. Accordion's loud, especially if you're on the right side.
That brings us back to what we were talking about with the question about the key of D and how if you're in the key of D, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. So if you've got a C accordion, they can't change the pitch. If you played it in the key of C, it would be a lot harder. But if you tune down the whole step, like Ron was suggesting, then as far as you're concerned, you're playing in the key of D. Because those notes will ring over a C chord, not a D chord. And so all of the open strings work for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when I playing Julie Blonde, I've heard it so many different ways. Fiddler, I'm not trying to tell you, I get Delmer up here to play it for you. You wanna come play, Julie Blonde for
Yeah,
me?
play a little bit of that, I'd like to hear it.
Delmer, come here. I'll play with, while he's coming up here, you come up here. While
Julie
I'll
Blonde.
do my sort of Harry Schultz version. It's more of a little thing, the 46, he recorded Julie Blonde, and just hit the stage. There hadn't been a lot of Cajun music recorded. And anyway, you come on up, hey Delmer. If you can get up. The band's be 90 next month. Y'all give him a hand. Here's the way I would play it. Wrong. Here's the lead. That's a Delmer song, yes, David's daddy, he's a good Cajun fiddler. He cooks good too, so that's a squirrel. Spending a lot of his time doing this right here on the accordion. The fiddle back up until 1928 when Joe Foghorn recorded Lafayette or Alonzo Lafayette. Well, I mean, the fiddle was king. They'd have like twin fiddles and they played intricate melodies like he would play reels and stuff. By then, the fiddle got to where it would do stuff like this, and I hear a young guy down there named Zach Fugilay play. He can really do this. Do Joey Blonde, and I'll do it behind you. Play a simple melody.
You can do that accompaniment.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like the basin like they do. Old-timey people did that too. I heard some people play old-timey music. I never heard anybody around my part of the country play like that. They always tried to play, if they played harmony, tried to play what they call a third above or fifth below, play alto or tenor. But there's people I've heard that play Appalachian music, and they will chord. And there's one man in Missouri, I heard him do it, named McMahon. He was a champion fiddler. I saw him in Nashville. He was like 80 then. He could stomp everybody. I mean, he had a wicked bow arm, and he could do that back up. And he could like B flat. He didn't care what key they played in. I mean, he just was, he had it. He was born. Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, to me, Cajun music is very lively. I enjoy it. I mean, it's not real complicated. You can make it very complicated if you want, but you can just play basic stuff. And I can sit there for hours and do that and just sit there and listen to them and enjoy being around the music. And if I want to go to sleep while I'm playing up here, and still enjoy it. You know, you're not on, you have to be on your toes. Like this band I'm gonna play with today, I'm only supposed to play at certain times. They like to copy records. I can't stand that. But they like to copy a record, and you're only supposed to. Hey, for instance, the Fireman. You know that George Strait song. Here's what, I hear it like this, and he goes. They want to do it like this. Oh no, you only hit it 3 times, and if they do that today, I'll have to actually turn around and think about it before. I don't hear that. Everybody's got their own ideas. You fit into them. Cajun music, I really enjoy that. But Rufus Thibodeau and Harry Schultz took it to a new level. See, Rufus does all this stuff here you heard. Or stuff is popular record before Dale Potter did it. Chevy Wise did a lot of that stuff. The more common fiddlers like this play behind. You hear like Liberty Theater, they won't do that. They're playing, that's a different style. Good fiddlers though. I really like listening to it, appreciate it. It's just a different ball game.
Well, we're getting 10 fingers, so what do you want to talk about at this point?
I don't know. You want to play something?
Let's do that. Sometime we haven't done this.
Let's do the Tennessee one.
There we go.
D, you gonna play harmony, you're gonna be playing.
We play A.
I play
You
a
guys
D, I
play
like
D?
a D myself. You just take D.
All right, we're doing D.
Y'all got anything you want us to play? Huh?
Lake off the stove.
All right.
Yeah, do Lake Arthur. Yeah, I've always been like that.
OBS.
Come on.
Does everybody make you play it all the time?
Oh, yeah.
That's a money tune. You'll have a tip jar back there. There are people actually will not play that song. I feel proud they won't
Our
play
Freebird.
anything. Huh?
Our Freebird.
Iron Gloss better get it. Oh, what are you playing?
That was Freebird for a moment.
Oh,
OBS. Kicker facts.
start singing.
Oh, go ahead, man. Look yonder coming.
You got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, he asked me the Westphalia Waltz.
Another page,
Yeah, what if they-
come on.
Right there, another occasion, if you got time.
I can play the minute waltz twice.
Let's do a round of the Wednesday night waltz.
All right.
No, Westphalia Waltz.
Westphalia. There you go.
I actually danced to the guy that wrote it. D of D, okay?
All right.
DEA. DAE, one of the two. Well, thank you. Very good.
Well, thank you, folks.
Appreciate it.